hiring left it with a bloated workforce amid an economic slowdown. So that is what is going down across hiring in the tech space. But staying with tech, Microsoft chief Satya Nadella says that he remains cautious on the short-term outlook for the tech sector, although the long-term picture looks quite promising. In an exclusive conversation with Shireen Bhan, he adds that the next 2 years will be challenging after the pandemic-led acceleration that we saw in the sector. Listen in.
Inflation, recession fears across most parts of the world at this point in time. Interest rates continue to move higher. Is it all flashing red on your dashboard? Is there any sign of green at all?
I mean, it's clearly many challenges right now around the world. In fact, India is probably the exception. There are parts, India, Middle East, Latin America, some of the other parts of Asia are the things that are green. And I think Europe and the United States are going to be, United States not yet, but I think 23 will be much harder. So yes, we want to be very cautious in our outlook in the immediate term. Long term, I'm very bullish of us coming out, right? Because there are two cycles, I think, Shireen, that are happening. One is a supply cycle that's a very long cycle. That's a secular shift. We're not going back to 2010, 2011. Because of the geopolitics as well as essentially the rejiggering of supply chains, I think we're going to have a supply cycle that's going to persist. The demand cycle is going to be a classic demand cycle. There will be some economies that will go through a recession, some may be deep, some may be minor, and then inside of that there will be pockets of growth like India. And so I think for us as a global company, we're not going to be immune from what's happening in the macro. We will have to also get our own sort of operational focus on making sure our expenses are in line with our revenue growth, manage the short term, but make sure we're investing for the long term.
That is Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella telling us that the global setup, of course, is challenging, is likely to remain that way for a couple of years at least, but India does stand out as the exception. But with that, we're going to get into a short break on the show now. On the other side, as always, we track cues from the